So, Jaspal, for people who don't know you, what is your role at Brandmovers?
Yeah, I am the Vice President of Technology at Brandmovers and Rewardian. Um, I help our companies build scalable, robust platforms that deliver, measurable results and help them engage better with their customers or employees. At Brandmovers, our main focus is helping brands build trust with their customers and doing that through meaningful loyalty platforms or data driven promotions. And on the Rewardian side of the house, we do the same on the whole employee vertical, wherein companies use our products to enhance their culture, to motivate their people, and then sort of drive the behavior and the entire culture initiative. So that's at a high level.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. A few years ago, you made the decision to pursue a master's in machine learning
Yeah.
at Georgia Tech. I'm a Georgia Bulldog, but I'll
Yeah.
forgive you for this. But what prompted that decision?
Yeah. So AI has been on my mind ever since I graduated in 2010, around 2010, and I wanted to explore more. Sort of probably do a master's back in the day, but there were other priorities. I could not focus on that, and I rather ended up focusing on building scalable products. Um, but eventually, I was also keeping track of all the developments that were happening in AI. And um, I remember there was a pivotal moment when AlphaGo, DeepMind's creation AlphaGo, defeated Lee Sedol in the Go game. And that was like a sort of pivotal moment for me when I saw AI going or doing something that was probably never believed it could do. Um, we all know about the earlier versions of AI that were able to defeat world champions in chess, but Go is like a totally different ball game, right? It's exponentially more difficult to beat someone in Go, and especially like a world number one, number two in Go. So when they did that, it became real for me. It was like this technology is coming and it has a lot of potential. So again, and the kind of work we were doing with our clients in Brandmovers and even with the companies in Rewardian, we saw a lot of lot of data being generated around user actions, user behaviors, user purchases, and to sort of make sense of all of that in a holistic way, needed a different set of technologies than what existed. So AI was the answer, and eventually everything on my personal front and like family and kids, all of that settled down and gave me the time to finally pursue that. And also from a business standpoint, I saw it was you know just having a surface level knowledge of AI would not cut it, because you really want to know the intricacies, the details of these models, and how to fine tune them, which models would best fit your use case, and which would make the most long term sense for you and your clients. It was the best for me to gain deep insight and knowledge into that, and that's why I decided to go for it. Yeah.
Along those lines, a lot of people talk about AI in theory. What's one thing you learned in your program that changed how you think about building technology?
Yeah. So during this program, one key moment I remember is when in this whole image recognition course that I was doing, AI can be trained to look at an image and see if the person is smiling or if the person is sad, right? How can you code something like that in a traditional programming environment or with traditional tools and languages? You cannot, right? So it opens a new class of problems that are now solvable that were earlier, you couldn't really take a stab at it, but now you can. So like whether a person is smiling or not, whether an image contains a product that is broken or whether it's whole, it's these are the class of problems that you cannot solve by traditional tools, and you need this machine learning mindset and model to be able to do that, right? You're able to train something, it learns, and then eventually it gets better at identifying those things and patterns. So it fundamentally shifted the way we look at any problem. So now what we do, when we look at a problem, we look at it firstly in two ways. Number one is whether this is a traditional sort of problem, like a one and done thing. Can we solve this? Can we code it in a way that is predictable using regular rules and using our other engines, or is this a problem that is better solved using our using learning and continuous learning evolution, right? So if it falls in the latter one, that's more suitable for our machine learning workloads. So we'll build models around that, and those models get trained, and those models keep learning, keep evolving, right? So earlier I had this one mindset, but now I have these two mindsets, and all because of the course and what I learned there.
And how does that show up in the way you design or evaluate Brandmovers products, campaigns, future enhancements?
Yeah, again, the same, those two hats. We are either wearing, the the definitive hat, where we know exactly what problem we are solving, and it's the systems need to be predictable, deterministic, or whether it's more like a stochastic or a probabilistic environment where the requirements are fuzzy, there's scope to learn, understanding user behavior, right, or purchase patterns. What are people buying, and what trends are sort of surfacing, making models around that, and then being able to better serve them promotions or help the brands understand their audience better. Those kind of things, we now use the whole machine learning sort of mental framework to go about that.
Obviously, a lot of hype around AI.
Yes.
And from your perspective, what do companies get wrong about machine learning?
There is a lot of hype, and it has been a good thing in a way, to sort of get the kind of resources and the kind of finances that the whole AI machine learning domain needs, because again, it requires huge compute, huge financial commitments, huge data centers, all this infrastructure rollout. So I feel that hype is good, but where we need to be careful is companies using wrapper AI APIs and mistaking that as doing actual machine learning and AI, right? So using an off-the-shelf tool and trying to pass your workload through that is, I would say, not the best way to do AI and machine learning. Building expertise, building your teams, building deep expertise across the board, right from data collection, making sure that you are getting the right data to train your models to do interesting things. Next is using the right set of models and parameters, making sure that all of those are fine tuned, and you're not working on noisy signals. And finally, the feedback loop, right? Once you've implemented something, measuring the lift, measuring its performance, and then sort of tying it back or tweaking your parameters, or going back to the data and seeing, is there any other data point that we missed, or just going through the whole rinse and repeat cycle again and again. I think that's the right way to do it, the long-term, robust way to do it. And definitely these AI APIs and wrappers are useful for smaller tasks, but those should not be the center strategy for any company.
Can you give a concrete example of how machine learning helps optimize outcomes for users with the platform?
Yeah. So in our platforms, one of the use cases we have is gathering insights from all the data that gets generated. So on the Brandmovers stacks, there's a lot of purchase related data, information, bookings related information, and other data around that. So what we do, we use models to sort of make a lot of sense out of that data, try to extract patterns, try to extract meaningful insights, and then surface those to the program admins so they can then take measurable actions on them, or run certain promotions to help certain segments of users or increase the lift. If we see there's certain segments of users who are sort of disengaged, what particular promotions or tactics could they use to sort of get back on the radar in front of their customers who are sort of fallen off. And on the employee recognition side of things, again, we use insights, past behavior. We glean like insights from those patterns. What has this employee been working on? What has he been recognized? Has he been recognized recently or not, he or she? And we then take those insights and surface those to the program admins so they can then effectively recognize the right members or certain specific initiatives to drive across the company to you know improve motivation across employee segments or employees that they've identified need a little more motivation. So at a high level, our day-to-day use cases, be it automatic user segmentation, identifying which users have similar purchase behavior or which employees are high performing employees in certain companies, or which behaviors have driven higher employee engagement, and then sort of boosting on to that, helping the program managers put their money towards the programs that actually drive that kind of behavior and motivation, and sort of focus their attention there.
And when you're building these AI-powered systems, how do you think about the balance between automation and human judgment?
Yeah, the platforms we build are they have, number one requirement is they have to be trustworthy, right? So that's what Brandmovers does, and the industry in which we operate. A lot of enterprise clients, they value us because of the kind of detail that we go into to ensure that we always have a human in the loop. We use AI to optimize a lot of internal workflows, be it moderation, be it validating content, or automating certain monotonous sort of work that people do. We always want to have AI do the heavy lifting for people, but then the actual judgment, because people are good at intuition, they are good at making judgments, they are good at making critical calls. So we want the human to do all of that, while the AI surfaces all the recommendations and shows them based on past data patterns and things what it thinks a particular scenario is, and then let the human decide, right? So keeping the human front and center is very important, and that's our core strategy, and also one of our core values is to ensure trust. And we want AI to work in conjunction with our team members, not replace human out of the whole picture, but then assist it. Machine learning can help glean patterns from thousands of data points, right? No human can easily do that. So you have such a big superpower tool that at your disposal. So why not make the most of it?
So for our marketing and technology leaders watching this, what's one thing they should start doing differently when it comes to AI?
Firstly, think holistically about AI. Not as a quick tool to address one of the use cases you have, but think the big picture, right? What decisions can be influenced, or what decisions can be better assisted with AI, what workflows AI could really help with, and then start building the entire pipeline. So right from ensuring that you get clean, good data, you use the right set of models, you have the right team working on those, and then finally measuring the actual performance of your entire pipeline, right? So rather than just simply throwing a tool at it, think of the whole problem in a new AI first mindset. How can this problem be better served with my machine learning models and continuous learning? How can this problem or our solution evolve and keep up as maybe the demand shifts or the patterns change over time? How can we adapt? So yeah, building good teams that address the whole problem holistically. I think that's very important.
And you mentioned evolution as AI continues to evolve. What excites you most about where machine learning can take customer engagement over the next few years?
I think the next frontier for all, for the AI that we interact with the most is action-based AI. So right now, you just type in a prompt and you get textual reply back. I think most of the users use it that way, but eventually we want AI to be doing things. So I think that's where the industry is headed, and I think that's the right direction, wherein it can do certain tasks. It could open certain browser tabs, help you plan a trip, or do sort of repetitive tasks that just don't really add long-term value, and AI could really take those off the plate and free humans for higher level cognitive tasks, planning, strategy, and just freeing up time in general for people. So I think that excites me next.
And then what are you personally curious about exploring next?
I personally like, on my personal projects, I like to play around with robotics. So how can LLMs had all this knowledge ready for them to make sense of on the internet. So they had Wikipedia. You can write a crawler that can crawl all the webs, the entire web, and get context of pretty much the entire human knowledge till date. So because of the infrastructure available, because internet has been around for so long, and there is the entire human knowledge is sort of available in this textual, easy to consume format for LLMs, right? But the real world is not available or consumable as yet. There are, for our robots to understand, for our, models to understand. So this whole three-dimensional world is yet to be mapped, and there are a lot of companies doing interesting things there. But I think that really excites me, where robots could help us with moving things around, or helping us around with regular tasks, and they need this whole knowledge to understand and interact with our real world in 3 dimensions. So yeah, that's pretty exciting for me.
All right, one more question for you, Jaspal. If you had to sum it up in one sentence, what does doing AI right actually mean to you?
It would be to build AI systems that can, that have the right data, that are trained on the right data, that use the right models, and that have the right feedback loops, and AI that is responsible, right? Taking the whole human in the loop, and also use cases that actually benefit the entire humanity. AI that is, simple, simple to understand, simple to work with. It's powerful when it needs to be, and it's trustworthy. So I think that's what AI right to me means.
It was a little bit of a long sentence, but I appreciate it.
It's a lot. I feel I have a lot to talk about AI, I guess. Okay.
Yeah, thanks for your time.
Thanks.